Welcome back to the Genuine Kid Podcast 216. You already know how we start. Start off by thanking God for all He has done for me and what He will continue to do for me, but not only me, my family, my friends, and those who I don't even know. Happy Monday. If you are listening to this and you're able to listen to this, then we are blessed, and that means that we have purpose. Let's think about it. How many people wasn't able to wake up today? But you are, and that means you have purpose. So just take a moment and thank God for a new day. And even if you're listening to this on a Tuesday, that's a blessing as well. But most importantly, right now we're talking about Monday, fresh start of the week. Let's think how many people won't get another Monday, but you are. Let that sink in. But anyway, y'all know how we start. We start off with a verse of the day, and this comes from Luke chapter 10, verse 27. He answered, "Love your God with all your heart, and with family, and with all your soul, your strength, with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself." I'm going to read that again in case somebody didn't get it. Luke chapter 10, verse 27. He answered, "Love your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself." That's deep. What I get from that is God answered. And He said, love God with all your heart, and all your soul, and your strength, and your mind. And not only that, love your neighbor as yourself. That's deep. So I love my neighbor as I love myself. And I love God with all my heart and my soul and my strength. I just think that that's deep. But what I take away from that is we have to do that. Love God with all our heart and our soul and our strength and our mind. And we have to love our neighbor. Not even if we don't want to. God does. Why shouldn't we? But that's what I take from that. But maybe you take something different away from it. But that's the verse of the day. Today's episode will be entitled Family. What does that mean? Most importantly, what does that mean to you? Let's look up the definition or the article that I looked up. What does it say? What does it say about family? Family means having someone to love you unconditionally. In spite of your shortcomings, family is loving, supporting one another even when it's not easy to. It's being the best person you could be so that you may inspire your loved ones. That's what that article says. It's pretty deep. And I can say that I agree with that. You know, we all have family. We all have family. Some family we are closer with, our immediate family, distant family. We may have family out of state. So many of us, every so many years, we might have a family reunion with our family. But to some degree, we all have family. Even if we're not close with them. We have uncles, we have grandmothers, we have cousins, brothers, sisters, great grandmothers, great aunts, whomever, right? We all have that. But I think that family is deep. But I'm going to share my personal experience with it. And then I'm just going to talk about how I feel about it. So I have family on my mother's side, and I have family on my father's side. Now, what's kind of crazy about this is my nickname, if y'all didn't know this, I'm going to just say it on this episode, my nickname is Cabbage, like Cabbage Patch Kids. So when I would go visit my family on my mother's side, everybody called me Keelan. And when I would go visit, I lived with my grandmother, so I would live on my father's side, everybody called me Cabbage, you know. And I can remember as a kid, on weekends, me and my brothers going over to my auntie house. She stayed on a street called Shirley out in Euclid, Ohio, and we would go over there like every other weekend. You know, we would go over there, you know, play video games. We would go over there, have cookouts with family. We would go to parks. We would go to see the Harlem Globetrotters. We would just have a good time, you know. Like, I remember that as a kid growing up, you know. And I remember us just always being around each other. Like, I remember my brothers, my cousins, we always had, they always had their birthdays in September. Their birthdays are all in September. So what would happen would be they would have a birthday party all together, and we would skate, play laser tag. We just always had fun, and that's what I can remember. Some of the things that I can remember when I was on my mother's side. But when I was on my dad's side of the family, every year we did Christmas. That was a tradition, you know. My grandfather, may he rest in peace, he passed away, unfortunately, 3 years ago, just about 3 years ago, from a heart attack. He always tried to keep the family together. So we always had Christmas. Like, from a shadow of a doubt, I remember as a kid always having Christmas at his house, you know, always having Christmas at his place every year. And we would gather around, and we would open up presents, and we would dress up, and we would eat, and we would have fun. And then as my grandfather got older, he would have this event at my uncle's house, and then at my auntie's house, and then my uncle's house, my cousin's house. Like, they shared houses at that point. But we were just always trying to stay together. On Christmas and Easter, we try to do something, have a dinner or get together. I just remember those happy moments with my family, but it has not always been easy. You know, some family are there for you, but then in some family, there's, you know, we just gonna be honest, it's convenient. You know, as long as they can benefit from you, it's okay. But the moment they can't benefit from you, then you're no use to them. And I don't think that's what family is. You know, I remember a couple years ago, about a few years ago now, it was a pandemic, and I remember my wife's cousin needed a place to stay, and we allowed him to stay, and you know, because we're a family, you know, we allowed him to stay, and needless to say, sorry, we didn't have a good experience, and I just couldn't believe that happened, you know, because like what the article said, families mean having someone to love you unconditionally in spite of your shortcomings. He had a brief moment. He was a young kid. He had a brief shortcoming in his life, and he needed somewhere to stay. And we allowed him to do that. And not getting too much into it, but the level of disrespect he showed me and my wife was outrageous. But just because they family, that don't mean that they should treat you any type of way, you know. But it's good to say that we have moved on. We have apologized to each other. He apologized to me. I apologized to him for how he felt, how I did him wrong. We apologized to each other. We realized that life was too short, and we overcame that. Because here's the thing. We fall out. I'm going to give you something really deep. So in past episodes, I talk about my mom and how she's no longer here. She passed away in 2011. And in that time frame, I remember my cousin, Ashley, which is my mother's niece, they both fell out. And for whatever reason, they never really got a chance to make amends. Ironically, I don't know if I should use that, but yeah, it is. My mom died on her birthday. And I remember my cousin calling me, and she was telling me what happened, and she was like, hey, cuz, me and your mom, we fell out, and I never got a chance to make it right. I never did. At this point, I wasn't talking to her. She told me this, and she was gone. So I just want to say that whatever issues you have with your family that are bad, I feel as if it's worth having a conversation, and I feel as if it can be resolved. Because you definitely don't want to have a family member or someone close to you die and you never get a chance to make it right. Let's be honest. Like I said, I get it. Family can be a handful. But I feel like everybody, maybe technically your family, but at the same token, I feel like everybody don't act accordingly to being your family. If my family called me and they needed something and I had it, I got you. I truly try to make myself available. If I can help any way that I can. I know my cousin, Courtney, excuse me, she just had a baby. Excuse me. She just had a baby. So she needed, this is a couple years ago, and she needed a high chair. Somebody gave me a high chair, and I, made sure I called her, dropped it off, and made sure she had it. She said thank you, and that was it. We look out for each other when in need, but not even in need. People sometimes when they call family when they need something, or when they text her when they need something, or Facebook or Messenger, whatever it is. But that's not what family is. Like, if I had to say my definition of family, it's someone that's always there. Like, no matter what. I can call you, we can cry together, we can yell with each other, whatever it is. But then in spite of whatever is going on, we're going to come back together and it's going to be all right. But sometimes people just want, in terms of family, sometimes when people call their family, they just want your presence. Sometimes it ain't nothing you can say. You maybe can't relate. But you just being there and just being in the ear means a lot to your family member. Like, man, you know what? I know I can always count on my family. And another thing we need to start doing as family, with our families, is stop all this gossiping. Y'all got something to say to those people? Not those people, your family. You need to go say it. It doesn't matter if they agree with it or not. If they made you mad, address it. Address it. And I think that once you address it, I think you'll feel better with yourself. You will feel better with yourself. Like, you just don't know how some people don't have family. Or if they have, it's very limited. You know, it's very limited. You know, or some people family might live their family might live out of state, and they might have no family here. But many of us have a lot of family in our states, and we barely ever talk to them or see them or anything. So we need to get better. You know, call your family. Y'all can schedule a family reunion. I know a couple years, last year, me and my family, we went out to Hawken Hills, which was very nice. And we had a good time. And we spent the weekend together. Something. Y'all need to spend some time with your family, loving and embracing each other. Because we don't know how much time we got left. You know, how many family members die. You know, I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story. I remember I was dating this girl, and she had told me she had a brother. And, you know, a lot of times when people tell me stuff, I just take it for what it is. You know, I believed it. You know, at this point, I never knew anybody that would lie about having a brother, so I took it for what it was. But anyway, she said she had a brother, and that he had died of cancer, yada yada yada. So I asked her, I'm like, wow. I was like, hey, you got any pictures of him? She said that they had got burnt up in a fire. They had got burnt up in a fire. So I'm not sure where I left off, so sorry for the interruption. I had to take care of some business. But what I was saying was, so this individual said she had a brother. After I looked into it, needless to say that all of it was fabricated. When confronted about it, she told me that she never had a family, and she always wanted a brother, and she always wanted a sister, but it was just her. Her parents never thought about having any more children. So I thought about that, and I was like, wow, that's deep. And many of us, we have family, and we have brothers, and we have sisters, and relatives, and we have family unions, and we don't treat each other in the most, you know. If you have a relative, there's nothing wrong with just sending them a text and just letting them know, like, hey, you know, I do love you. You know, I was just thinking about you. That means a lot. Hey, you want to get together, you want to have lunch. You know, hey, let's plan something. Like, I think about a year ago, one of my family members, they invited me to their daughter's party at Sky Zone. We went. I bring my kids. We had a good time. We hugged. We embraced each other. And we hadn't seen each other in quite some time. You know? But we relished that moment. And we were just texting like a few weeks ago about it. And we were saying how we need to get back together. You know, life is too short. So the whole point of this episode is, if you ever fell out with a family member, or you're currently not on good terms with a family member, get it together. At least try to. And if you can't, just give it to God and let God heal their heart, and maybe in time it'll happen. But like I said, family is there to stick with you through thick, through thin, no matter what. Someone you can call on, someone you can lend an extra ear. That's family. And that's what family do. And that's what family does. It's not always benefiting from it or taking advantage of your family, because many of us do that. But just wanted to say that. If you guys got any questions, concerns, anything, let me know. My email is thekid, DAKIDD93@gmail.com. I'm available on all platforms where you get your podcast. You can message me on social media, Facebook, anything. We could talk about this episode. Maybe you needed some advice. I'm not I can give you some advice, whatever you need. Thank you. Thank you for listening.